So I'm Nico. I work in Tampa, Florida in our Kennedy office for the CMS Advancing National Security. I am one of the members of our deployment team there as a deployment specialist. And I personally identify under the non-binary spectrum as genderqueer. Genderqueer, really any gender identity, if you ask 12 people who identify as genderqueer specifically, they're all going to tell you something a little bit different. But to me, it's part of I'll call it the gender fluid spectrum. So I don't feel completely disconnected from gender, but I also don't feel like I am connected specifically to one. It's almost like an energy inside of me, and I feel it coming out in certain ways when I am in a very masculine energy. The way that I carry myself is different. The way that I talk is different. And these are things that I won't even notice. People around me have pointed them out to me. The way that I sit in a chair is slightly different. I don't even know why these changes happen, but it'll be something in my demeanor and my persona will just be a little different. The clothes that I gravitate towards. But when I go from one headspace or one energy to another, it doesn't nullify how I had felt before. Those things were still right for me at the time. They were still what was the most authentic to me at the time. But I could wake up one day feeling like the most butch dude ever and throw on some combat boots and go climb a tree or, I don't know, do guy stuff. And then the next day be like, I'm just feeling a dress and let's go dancing. Let's get dolled up. Let's do something. Really knew from a young age that I was not really in the girl box. I felt like somebody came up to me at a young age and handed me a box and said, "This is what you're going to be." And I'm like, "Can I have a different one? I don't think nothing in here fits." And I just never understood why people expected me to look a certain way or act a certain way or be interested in certain things. It never connected with me. I could never get adults to give me an explanation that really made any sense to me or made me stop questioning it. It was just that I didn't have a language or any kind of support system around me who could provide that language or that understanding. So eventually I just got to a point where I stopped really talking to people about it. So I would just keep it to myself, because if I didn't, I wound up in fights. And I really just didn't look at it again with very much intention, I guess, until a couple years ago. And then I went through a big life change. I had a big breakup. And so I really had to take a second to pull myself back together and figure out all the building blocks of my life have fallen down. How am I going to put them back together? And in that time, I found myself with this space to myself where I was, I didn't owe anything to anyone. I had no plans with anyone. And I could just kind of ask myself questions that I had been avoiding, I think, since childhood. And when I started doing that, I started thinking farther and farther back. How long have I been feeling this way? How long have I been thinking that I'm different? And really just felt like it had always been there. And when I started reaching out and trying to find more information on different gender identities and things, mainly just because I wanted to be a better ally, really, that was around the time that I started realizing that there were other people who feel the same way as me. It's not just a coincidence that I connect with queer people on a regular basis. It's because I understand them more than cis people understand me, if that makes sense. It's been the best place that I've worked, if nothing else. It's definitely been the most accepting, and when I've come forward with any issues that I have experienced, I've always felt like they were handled professionally and, kept me out of it as much as possible. I've definitely felt from, just the people around me all up to upper management, I've definitely had people in my corner who were there to support me and who didn't look at me differently. And it gave me the encouragement that I needed to come out to the people around me. And I'm glad that I did every day, because, the moment that I came back into the office after sending my coming out email to the group of people in my office, I was just swarmed with hugs and people crying on me and so many people saying nice things to me at the same time that I couldn't even understand who was saying what. And it just moved me to no end. And now, those same people who knew nothing about gender identities at the time and didn't even know where to begin. They were like, we love you, we want to support you, I don't get it. Now they're asking me questions on a regular basis. They're making a point of using pronouns in their daily lives, not just around me, like more intentionally. And it's really just been a huge transition just for me to hear people in the background talking to each other and saying, I don't know if this person is a guy or a girl, and then going, just call them they. And I'm not even a part of the conversation. It's been a really great thing to witness.